Hey, hey. The very last second, I forgot to get the microphone plugged in and the cable was gone for it. You know, because it connects to all cell phones. And so if there's an open cord, they get stolen. I'm sure, like any house. So, good evening. Hello, Starla. Eagle Lover. Hello. And Hypocrite's Garden. Hello. Hey, Spags. Ooh, Starla, you weren't feeling good. Yeah, I hope you're feeling well. And Hypocrite says, why are snails bad at racing? Because they're slow? I don't know. Hello, Jamie. Thanks for joining us. So Andrew's just finishing some things up, and he'll be joining us here shortly. Um, there's that's corny, but that was funny. I like those dad jokes. Occasionally you find a thread on Facebook or maybe TikTok or something on TikTok that we jump onto every now and then. It has stupid dad jokes. Or pretty dumb, but they're funny. They're an old funny, you know. So, but last weekend, last week we decided not to do our live because planting was just like perfect. We had a bunch of rain come in, and the gardens finally dried up, and everything was good to go. So we concentrated on getting things planted. Seems like everything around here went from winter dormancy to spring and growing extremely fast. So where I thought grass, even on the pastures, I probably had, oh, I figured the end of May I'd still be feeding out hay, which I still am, but um, I figured we'd probably do 2 rounds on the farm and then we'd throw them across the road again, the cows. And it looks like grass is growing so much that we'll probably jump back over to the other farm and then come back over to us instead of making another round on us. So, I mean, like things are just going crazy bonkers as far as growing goes. I mean, what?
Not fast enough. They're jonesing out there.
They are super Jones and they are so cranky.
Feed them a
Is
bale
a
of
good
hay, and
word
then they
for it.
go leave it and turn their nose up to it. So
Yeah, they've got plenty of hay out there for them, but they're being cranky.
they're chasing the next blade of grass as it grows a millimeter.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Not funny, really, but it you got to be careful that whenever you open a gate that you close it directly behind you because they will go through it. If I mean, there's no just hey, here's some hay and come with me. It's you have hay, I'm going the other way because there's a piece of grass over there. So, anyways, besides that though, things in the garden are growing really well. Um, what?
Nothing.
Oh,
It's
I imagine your guys' gardens are growing really good too. We had the asparagus started popping up days ago.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a couple days, and I thought, okay, they're gonna be going gangbusters, because first one started popping up, and then we got a little bit of a cold snap, which I think like the majority of the United States has gotten, and I think it kind of slowed them down just a tad because they're not.
Kind of quick to pull the trigger on that one, weren't you?
I was, I was excited about it, and there's a whole bunch of them that are like this tall, and there's even some that are huge, like quarter size, that are out there coming up, but they're not grown. We had like an 80-degree day, and I think that's what.
A couple of 80-degree days,
Yeah,
and that's what kicked them out.
that's what kicked them out. And now we're back down in the 50s,
70s tomorrow,
30s.
70s the next day, and then 60s the rest of the next week. Sounds like so.
But down to 30s on
Yeah,
Saturday.
Saturday, 30 degrees again. So kind of makes me
Middle of
pause
April.
for putting stuff out in the gardens, but it's Missouri in April.
Yeah,
April in Missouri.
yeah,
So
yeah. So, but let's see. Besides that, what else we've been doing?
vegetables.
Lots of vegetables, lots of harvesting on greens and radishes, and I guess that's really it for right now.
Yeah,
That's been. We've had to do some changing on our microgreens to give them a few more days. I'm not sure why.
because it's cool.
Yeah, and we had quite a few cloudy days there that they weren't stretching out to the sun. So we've kind of done a little adjustment on our schedule of the microgreens, but everything else has been going gangbusters. That's in the tunnels, I should say. That's in the tunnels. So the tomatoes are absolutely crazy. We put in celebrity pluses this year, and I those things are growing like weeds.
What's that?
The celebrities.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
They're
a new variety for us, and
they're enjoying that.
yeah,
Eagle Lover asked, "Can you freeze pearly kale?"
I would think you could like, well, yeah, I would think you could kind of like spinach that you would blanch it and then
I'm
freeze
fairly
it.
certain you can. I think it depends on what you're going to use it for afterwards.
Yeah,
So I know you. I'm fairly certain that you can freeze it for like pesto and things like that. So
yeah, that you can, and it's not supposed to be very well after you do the pesto wasn't you had tried frozen pesto.
yeah,
It wasn't slimy.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
So I would say yes. Soups.
Yeah, I'd
Mm.
say very much you can do that with for soups and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spag says hunting season's over. The cold can go away until next November. I banished the hunting season just opened in Missouri for turkey season. So
That's what I was just gonna say. And those turkeys are going all over the place. I've seen them around all over.
yeah,
So, but I don't know. Do you have an agenda for tonight?
no, not really. My mind's going 100 miles an hour everywhere that we have things to do. So we've been your market's been going well down in Kansas City
Yep.
at Brookside. A little rainy last weekend.
Yes, this past
So
weekend it was a little rainy. So it's their second. It's been the second weekend. For
Spag says, yeah, those aren't real animals. Those are nuggets hidden under feathers.
mean little nuggets. They're ornery. They don't come out whenever you want them to. I don't like turkey hunting, but
I try to go every now and then, but
they
you know,
make me mad.
it's not a priority, I guess. So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
I enjoy the quietness, I guess, of it. But
Is turkey hunting really actually quiet?
oh, for me it is. I can be.
I don't know. David loves going, so
Yeah.
he gets ringed into it.
Oh
But
yeah.
anyways, yeah. So second market down at Brookside, and those people down there are really good. They're really nice customers and vendors. Been a good transition for us. Um, need to get the whole schedule thing figured out so we're not going to bed at midnight 1 o'clock the night before. And
Well, that's why we're washing spinach tonight. The 40 or 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds of spinach we got to wash. So
I don't know that I have that. I've
there
got a
was
lot.
seven, six. I think 6 of your small toads. I'm not sure how much those weigh a piece.
Oh, more than 10 pounds. So
So there's 60 pounds there.
and then I did another.
So you got over 100 pounds to wash tonight.
Okay. Now I thought about canning some of it, and
No,
yeah,
no,
no.
no. Well, the thing is with canning is, are you going to eat the spinach in the summertime? Because we grow spinach all winter long. Why
Well,
can't it? Because it's
that was a very
nasty. I'll eat spinach all day long, green, but canned spinach is nasty.
Good point. Good
Oof.
point.
So,
So
Hippocrates says the farmers market in Jonesboro, sorry, Arkansas, starts the first Saturday of May. Yeah, most of the markets around here have not started yet. We've got a few that are going to start at the very last part of April, um, but May is definitely the time for even our markets to start. We have
yeah, locally.
we have the opportunity to possibly go to Lenexa, Kansas, the farmers market. So we're working on those details now and how that's going to look. So we might be going over to Kansas for some Saturdays
That's true.
or every Saturday, maybe.
That's doing some expansion, doing some feelers out there for things, and seeing what we can reach out to. But
Yeah.
in Jonesboro, just south of Fayetteville.
Mm-mm. No, I want to say I know where Jonesboro's at, but I'd get it wrong if I said it. Well, it's closer down toward Little Rock area, I think.
I think that's right.
And ask a question that has been giving me deep curiosity. I really want to know, why do nearly all preppers and homesteaders have beards? Northeast Arkansas. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a beard very well. I've had a beard for a while.
Yeah.
I refuse to cut my beard until I cut my hair at this point.
Yes.
So,
Which I don't know if they've ever seen you with your hair down, but
so you don't mistake us for Dylan Mulvaney. That's very true.
he's got quite a bit of a hair bun back there. I don't know if they've ever seen you with your hair down,
Yeah, they
but
have.
have they?
I've done
You've
that a
let your
few
hair
times.
down before?
I've let my hair down a few times.
I think it's just probably the thing right now.
Beards? Nah, beards have been around quite a while. Starla, do you know where there's a word for people without beards, right? He said this one time, and I can't remember what the answer was, but he'd said that one other time.
Okay,
Hippocrates, so.
you'll have to fill us in or fill me. I don't. But
So, woman.
ah,
But
nice.
no, just running around like crazy. Seems like everything should be going in, but yet here we're gonna have night on 30. So we've got zucchini ready to go in. We've got, of course, we've got a lot of stuff in the tunnels. We just need more tunnels to have all the other stuff put in. But we've got a greenhouse full of lettuce that has got that can come out, and so that's what I've been doing all day is getting some gardens prepped and got one almost completely full now, and we'll work on the second one. It'll be completely full probably tomorrow.
Yeah, it will.
So
Yeah,
I don't
it.
know.
This is the time of year where it's like you're like, okay, we've got like 3 days of really good weather coming in, and then the weather changes. Like, well, now it's going to go down to 30, and actually,
Well, we've
they're
got 3 nice days of weather. Like tonight's just absolutely gorgeous to plant.
yeah,
It's been windy all day, and now it's really calm. And we've got 3 days of clear weather, 70s, and then we're going to turn cool and rainy for 2 or 3 days. So try to get everything in before then.
yeah,
But
and then you hope it doesn't freeze. But then I did hear though that we're kind of in the pathway for severe weather come tomorrow into Wednesday.
of course we are.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it goes north into Iowa like it normally does.
Well,
But
it has been at least.
yeah, it has been. At least that seems to be the trend for our area. But
No, it's definitely a balance. I think we talked about this last week, or somebody had asked, really, with the balancing of harvesting and planting and all that stuff. And with greens, particularly with greens and doing the amount of greens that we do. Like we said, you have 100 pounds of spinach that was harvested this week.
Mhm.
Um, that is definitely the balancing act of getting all that clean. Now ours is cleaner than normal because it's not outside,
Yeah.
but it's still we still are having to. Okay. Um, we still are having to wash it. That should all be good, but it just may have been too far back. But and broken. Yeah, our internet's been spotty the last couple of days. So if we are broken, we apologize for that. Our cattle have gotten close to our
Starlink.
Starlink and knocked it over once or twice. So I'm not sure. I've moved it and adjusted it. I need to get it moved completely, um, but yeah. Um, but the balancing of just the volume of stuff to keep clean, um, and all that is definitely a challenge because 7 days seems or 6 days seems like it's a fair enough amount of time to keep stuff clean and ready for the next market. But it's you turn around and it's back ready to go again, and here we are.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly. So, yep, Spag says,
they
I
asked about seed, and he said he
yeah,
didn't need it, but
but he's doubled his space this year and it's crowded already. Yeah. It seems like you you think, "Oh, if I just double it or triple it, that should be enough." But then you all of us seed lovers out there, like, "Oh, I could put this over here," and then yeah, you just keep on adding space, and by the time you're over with, your whole yard is just a big garden.
hmm.
So, but
Did you talk about your visit that you had the other day with the crowd, the group that came?
no, I have not.
Okay, that'd be a good one for you to talk about.
Okay.
And our other families here now, so we've got some additional help, so that is a blessing. So
Yes, we do. So we've had a couple of homeschool groups. Well, we had the 4-H thing, what, like 2 weeks ago, or no, that was last month. Oh my gosh! So kids are at 4-H tonight, so it was a full month ago that we had presented. Wow, that we had presented at 4-H. Just kind of shared what we do around here at Tabletop, and from that there was a homeschooling group um, that had approached us that they would like to come out and kind of do a farm tour and just go more in depth than what we had done there at the presentation. And so they had came out. There was like a group of 30 of them. It was really great. Actually, it was like all ages. It was supposed to be a junior high, kind of like a middle school, high school kind of age group kids, and then parents come along with them. And so it was a good age range. I think there was even some grandparents in there that had brought kids along, and there was some really good conversations and educational, pieces in there. One, we had walked down to the pigs because they had pigged a couple weeks back, and so we had walked down to the pigs to show them the piglets and yada yada. And so we just have a one hotline around our pigs, and they were just amazed at just how docile they were and just their attitude and their temperament. And it I think it gave a new perspective because this guy actually used to work for one of the large hog facilities in the area a while back, and he was like, "Whoa, I didn't know like you could treat them this way. Like they actually would work this way." So that was good. And
and how docile they just were.
yeah, yeah,
So
how you could just be in there with them and kind of like big dogs, like a 600-pound dog. Not that you wouldn't want to. like Andrew says, you never want to lay down with them because you just don't trust them like that. They are still animals, but they had no issue with, you know, people being around them uh, and just hanging out with them. You know, it was pretty
They're
cool like that.
entertained by people coming and actually looking
Yeah.
at being around. So, good evening, Porterhouse and Teal.
Good evening.
So, but yeah,
So
they're he was just amazed on how docile. I mean, you go up there and one of them in particular wants to um, nudge you all the time. She just wants
yeah,
attention all the time, and that's just her personality, and they all have personalities. I'm able to touch the piglets, and the sow is not bothered by that. So, and they were just amazed that could happen, and so,
yeah. And
but
that our boar kind of hangs out with everybody and the kind of pigs that we run and because we do a mule foot and then we have also large black and then I call them mutt heritage. But it, so I mean that was just really good. And then we also did a tour walk of the gardens like we've done with you guys before on some of the videos that we have out there and the different techniques of gardening and how to do things and it was just I think it was just good. I mean, they um, showing them how we use uh, raw material, minimal mind, um,
minimally mine.
minimally mined fertilizers instead of chemical fertilizers, where that's what is pushed a lot in ag. Um, a lot of these kids are either in 4-H or some of them can be in FFA, and they really not knocking either of those organizations because they are very wonderful, but they are very commercially agged and not, I guess, down to the roots of things. And so it gives those kids a different perspective that you can actually grow without putting a bunch of chemical into the ground. So
Good evening, Data.
yeah. So anyways, there was a couple of them that were, hey, I want to come back out and let's concentrate on this. I want to know how you move the cows around with just a single line. And I want to know how you do this or do that. And so I see in the future, more of them coming back or even other groups after they go and talk to their friends and uh, doing more of that, which is kind of where we're headed with the educational community building that we're wanting to put onto the property is doing a little bit more of that, bringing people on and doing some education. So
Yep.
it opens the door. It opens that door. But then the other thing that he was talking about is, yeah, so our our crew, we call them the crew, is back in town for I don't know a couple months, I think. They live out of state, but they come to Missouri to our area twice a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, they come in and out, but whenever they're here, they're like, "What do you want us to do? We will do whatever you need." And so this is their third year back, and they're absolutely wonderful people. So we enjoy having them around and do a lot with them whenever they're in the
Yep.
area. So,
So, Starla asked, "Do you all do CSA, and if you do, how?" Um, Go
so
ahead.
we used to do CSAs.
We used to do a traditional CSA.
Hmm.
That's what we used to do. Traditional being, um, we had a box. We put stuff in the box, and you got what was in season in the box. And it was, I believe at that time it was $25 or something, $25 a week
Yeah.
price. Um, we've kind of gone away from doing CSAs to doing more of a customized box, and then we've even gone away from that just because we would do CSAs. We will do like a farmer's box, but it's not a traditional CSA. We will do orders for a farmer's box, um, which is a non-traditional CSA. Essentially.
We found in our area that people had a really hard time grasping onto what a CSA is and that traditional part of it. We like to grow some crazy things sometimes, and things that you put into a traditional CSA box. Um, people don't aren't that exploratory on food. Um, in our area, at least, it doesn't seem like. Um,
No,
so
that's
yeah, that's part of it. Um,
go ahead.
so trying to educate, and basically you're educating as you're trying to develop a CSA, which was really hard. And then they wanted a custom box, which is just fine. Um, but it got really difficult logistically
For what little we were doing.
for the little bit that we were doing of it.
So CSA is a very hard model to do unless you have a group of individuals or it's something that has been known in the area.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way. But it's a very hard model, and really it's a dying model. It should be coming back in all honesty, but it's a tough thing um, unless you just have a market for it. And that's the thing is we don't have a market for CSA, local CSA here. Um, but like I said, we do online orders, and we can do an online CSA in that instance. And there's programs out there we've looked at that can do a completely customizable CSA. We would normally put out the order, and this is what's going to be in the box, and you can go in there and literally just say, "Well, I don't want this. I want this. I want this. I want this." Um, we haven't gotten that yet, but that's something that we're always opening that door for a CSA, but we just don't have the today. We don't have that clientele.
Yeah, so what we have moved to though is a subscribe and save, something that people are more familiar with the terminology on. It's basically a CSA. You just go in and you pick all your product that you want, you tell it how often you want it to reoccur, and you get a discount for that. And it's open to all the products that we have, um, for the most part. Um, so that is kind of what we have moved to instead of just regular CSA.
Okay, so let's open up the can of worms that Spags asked. And he asked, "Has anyone used any of the organic herbicides in their gardens? I'm so tired of fighting weeds in my beds, but have no desire to use regular weed killers." And he did that, and he also put in there later. It says he used hay one winter instead of straw, and it's been an uphill battle ever since.
Huh?
So yes, there are some organic herbicides. There's one called Axe, AXXE. Um, that is one of them. They work. They don't work really, really well. If it's an established weed, if it's a large weed, we'll just say it's not going to work worth a worth anything really. It'll burn it down, but that's about it. It'll come right back, unless you're on top of it pretty quickly. Younger weeds, it does do fairly well. Um, we use it primarily. I don't use it in the beds, but we do use it in parking lots and things like that. Um, all that, all that. So the next thing, Eagle Lover, no, I'm sorry, Starla had said vinyl board, lay down, burn holes, and plant. Um, so that's
Mhm.
what we do a lot of, but we do things before we do the fabrics. And what you're looking for is really you're looking for, oh, good night. I'm going to forget the company all of a sudden of the fabric.
Oh, DeWitt,
DeWitt, DeWitt,
Sunbelt.
Sunbelt. DeWitt Sunbelt. And there's lots of different ways to do the burning of holes. We literally, like she said, I think, no. So what we use is a piece of plywood, depending on what you're planting, um, typically a 2-inch hole. And we just take this board and we drill with a hole saw and put 2-inch holes in it. Tomatoes are, I think I put a 4-inch hole in for tomatoes and stuff like that. Um, and you can literally burn that with a butane torch. You can heat up. Saw the other day, actually a pretty good idea. Guy had a
Heat gun.
tin can on a heat gun, battery powered heat gun, and they were using that to burn the holes.
Yeah.
Most things you are in your garden, you can put in like 6-inch spacings, so you can always go through that and mark those on 6-inch spacings and just burn your holes that way. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but if you're not using the fabric, or even if you are using the fabric, what I like to do is either I will use a flame weeder. Um, there are fancy ones out there. You can go to Orscheln's or any home store and why burn the holes? So I'll answer that real quick for you, Spags. The holes with the DeWitt fabric, if you cut them, it frays real bad, and it, it's a woven plastic or a woven fiber, and so it'll just fray out and it'll start scattering everything. When you burn them, it actually melts that and makes it permanent, essentially. Um, it does get kind of rough on the edges, but very little weeds come through that. And what do the moisture actually holds in those in that fabric? So when weeds do start coming up through that, it's a matter of just going through it, picking them real quick, and running your finger with a glove, and you're done with the weeds in that for however long.
Yeah.
Um,
But before you put that down, like you said, you go through with flame weeder.
Yep. And so
And
with the flame weeder, all it is you've seen the Red Dragons is a brand at Orscheln's and stuff like that, but it's just the hooks up to a propane, you light it, and you can walk around and flame weed with it.
well, is it actually a flame weeder, or does it go into like a barbecue grill
No,
to
no,
like
no,
a
no,
charcoal lighter?
no. That's a flame weeder. I just use it for a charcoal lighter sometimes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was actually a charcoal lighter that we're using for a flame weeder.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Um,
But that pretty much kills them off for the most
it kills
part.
them off. It kills anything that's exposed.
Yeah.
The other thing that is the huge deal with weeds is you really have to weed before you see the weeds. So if you're not putting anything down,
Yeah.
it's even with compost. I find that we run. I just did garlic tonight. We have very little weeds in our garlic because it's like 4 inches of compost on top of the garlic, but you're still going to get those occasional weeds. Well, we go through there once a week, once every other week or so, depending on what the weather is really, and you won't even see the weeds, but when you pull up the hoe that we use, um, you're going to see a bunch of white threads. Well, you're just attacking those before they even expose,
Yeah.
and so you've killed them off. And you can do that pretty regularly, and actually, you will defeat your weeds pretty quickly in your beds that way.
I think you're at the top.
So yeah, she's just answering that.
Now, the vinyl billboard, though, that stuff is not permeable.
Correct. The vinyl billboard is not permeable, generally speaking, as far as I know. And that's the deal with the woven fabric, the DeWitt stuff. It is permeable. So when it does rain, and it does exchange air. So that's why we don't use plastic. Um, there's certain types of plastic out there, but we've never used that. A, because it's a one time use, and this fabric is we've got fabric 4 or 5 years old now.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah, I can. Arctis and Bella's
yeah. Hypocrisy says, I've gotten tarps used on trailer trucks before. There was a trucking company that replaced them. They began to get torn. I could get all I need really, really heavy, but hey, free. Yeah. And so those kind of like the vinyl tarps, and this is maybe what she's talking about there again. Um, but with vinyl tarps, we're using those weeks, months, even a year ahead of time to prep that garden. And you can literally get rid of weeds in that garden, and the next year you won't have a problem with weeds. But it does take time essentially you're suffocating out the weeds. You're letting them come up, and it suffocates them. And
And you're killing them as they come up.
yeah,
Yeah. So that helps with any weed seed that's down. So definitely, if you can fabric things this year and then at the end of the year cover your whole garden with
or in the middle of summer, put a bunch of clear plastic down,
that would work
and you can
too.
fumigate that sucker. And
And you can actually do that per section of your garden too. So if you have a section even right now that is not getting planted and say you don't do your tomatoes or peppers for another
month,
4 weeks, 6
yeah,
weeks, go ahead and cover that.
you can solarize it.
Yeah, go ahead and get those seeds germinating and that'll kill off a lot of it before you have to plant. So that might help you too. I know this year, so one of the high tunnels got pretty weedy last year and we're already fighting grass, but um we've got fabric down on absolutely everything that we can this year. And underneath some of the weeds are actually pushing up the fabric a little bit because we've got some of those prickly.
I have no idea what those are. I've told myself many a times I'll go look and what those actually are, what they're actually called, but they are a thorn bush plant. They're a thorn weed, is what they are. They're not really a bush.
They hurt.
They're a pain when they get mature. Right now, my hands are tough enough that I just grab
Yeah.
them and that doesn't bother me. But if
Yeah.
they get hardened off at all, they are nasty little suckers.
But
So
so everything underneath there though, once it decides it's going to die, it's not going to try to push through anything. Then you're building that organic
sure,
material underneath
yeah,
the fabric too. So it kind of acts as, two things, your weed barrier and your organic grower at the same time. So
yeah. And we've had to bite the bullet several times where the beds just got so full of weeds that we said, nope, we're starting over,
yeah.
and just got rid of everything that was in it and called it a loss and redid it. So
Yeah. Sometimes it's just not worth fighting it. But, the fabric, now that we have been doing quite a bit of it, even if we went back to a home garden, that's probably something that I would take time to do, just because of the benefits, not only on the labor side of things, but also on the soil side of things of what it contributes to the garden. So I know we've had that talk, I think probably last time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening, Prep for Eternity. We are doing well. Hope you are too.
Yep.
So
Light occlusion versus solarization, which is short term.
yeah. So it's just the difference between the tarp versus the solarization.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Okay.
The other thing that they've also done that you can do is you can take like grass clippings, anything green, a heavy green material, and put it on that bed and put clear plastic over it like that, and you can actually fumigate that too, because it heats that up,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, you're really prepping that ground really well for that too. So that's another thing you can do.
that might be a good. It might be a good like compost layer on top of your stuff, then, wouldn't it? The grass.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. We can the weekends change now for Midwest preparedness too.
Yeah,
We were not going to be able to go,
that's true. We had something come up, and then I thought it was one weekend, and now it's this weekend.
so we are trying to go.
We might be able to get down for a day
Yeah,
and then come back.
yeah,
That might be really good.
yes. That was our original plan. Was yes, we were going, and then we were not going to be able to go. But I think we're going to be able to go. So that's our plan right now. So yeah, here, there, everywhere, and we're going down. So this weekend, it's and we will be on the road for Monday,
Monday
and
next week.
I think we could still do a mobile. We've done that before, and I think we can get her done.
Yeah.
Um, but we're going to be going to market down in Kansas City on Saturday, The kids are leaving Thursday to go to the grandparents to St. Louis, and we are coming back from Kansas City to hop in the car, do the chores, hop in the car, go to Alabama
Yeah.
to go to a race. Take the kids to a NASCAR race, and we're hoping to stop back on our way back through into Tennessee
And hit a
and
farm.
yep, go to a farm that I had gone to several weeks ago and come back. So that's why we thought that was going to be on the weekend of the Midwest preparedness, but it's not. So that's this weekend, and then we should be able to make it over there. I'm hoping. So yeah.
It might be a Sunday trip.
Eagle Lover says, "Cool. Are you bringing green leafy things with you?
If we
If
need
we
us
come,
to, we can.
we will definitely bring some. If people want some, we can definitely bring whatever we need to.
Yep. Or if you
Yeah.
need help with meal or whatever,
Yep.
yeah, just let us know.
Hippocrates, you're 100% correct. Doing that with mustards can fumigate for nematodes as well.
Oh.
So, and green grass will do somewhat of the same thing, but definitely mustards. Um, you can flail mow, or even just mow down, whatever, however you want to do it. But you can actually grow mustards in that spot if you have some nematode problems, and then do that. So,
Okay.
please describe this green leaf. Yes.
It's more like this, not like this. We don't have any of this year. We're not growing any of that this year. Our license ran out, and we did not. We did not renew with all of that debacle going on in our state. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Boring. Salad. Boring.
doesn't have to be. It can be pretty crazy. Just ask the kids.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I don't know if anything else that we're really. Spike says I make the world's best salad, actually. So.
Occasionally I have a hard time figuring out super finale. Does it actually have lettuce in it?
Bacon salad. There you go.
So, does it actually have that lettuce in it? Or is it just all bacon?
Either
Bacon
way.
and tomatoes. Cardiologist diet.
Yeah, if it tastes good, spit it out. Isn't that the truth?
Ooh,
Bacon salad is cauliflower based.
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it does.
I haven't had cauliflower in a long time.
I don't like growing cauliflower. So.
Well,
We don't
that's
grow
probably
it.
it. If we don't grow it, we usually don't eat it. So we're kind of on a 90% farm raised food.
Oh, I'm
But
sure it is badass.
I'm
It
sure
sounds
it sounds
cauliflower and
really
bacon.
good.
Yeah,
It's really
it changed my life. So.
That's funny.
Well, something
No.
else you've been messing around with a little bit. Well, I've been messing around with, I guess, and figuring out
Oh, I know where you're headed. Go ahead.
what
That thing over there.
that's on our other screen over here.
Yeah.
Is I'd be interested with some of Hippocrates or Spags or any of you guys if you guys have messed
Data too.
around
Data
data,
would
yeah.
yeah, data would mess with this.
If you've messed around with was it Chat GTP is
Yep.
what it is.
Yep.
We've been doing some investigating with it on posts, Facebook posts and social media posts,
Yeah.
and doing that kind of stuff. So, kind of interesting on what it will do for you or allow. Very specific. You have to kind of get down into the weeds with it. It sounds what we've kind of found.
Yeah, I mean the question that we asked it is pretty specific.
But it's words like "I need you to," it, and you have to
Yeah, I
almost
wonder what that's about.
Well, there's keywords within Chat GTP is it wants to be treated like a, for lack of a better term, a human. It wants, I need you to do this.
Mm.
Yeah, data, dude. I've been playing with Jet and Board AI. They're very interesting. Yeah, we've been doing some of the things with it, and then layering it. I mean, you can layer it on other open AI projects to filter it out and to filter the
The bot part of it out.
the real AI has got to be scary.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, where this
Well, to
is
know that
going is like
and to know that Chat GTP is still in lockdown phase. It's not opened up to the full internet.
no.
So it's, but we asked it to, for a kind of a paraphrasing. It said, I want you to act like a social media manager. I need you to create social media posts for the following platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The post needs to promote tabletop farms. It needs to highlight our competitive edge. I need you to focus on making it aesthetically pleasing, on brand, eye catching, and a little clickbaity. I need you to capture the attention of current followers and new ones. I want this post to be creative, unique, and have some witty fun, and include appropriate hashtags so that this post gets visibility. And it literally gave me 3 weeks worth of 3 posts a day for 3 weeks, and how to format them all with hashtags. I don't know what are those emojis?
Yeah, they're emojis.
With emojis and hashtags and um so like on Mondays, on this next Mondays, it says for Facebook, I should put a carrot or a plant
Plant.
emoji. Today's produce haul is looking especially fresh. We're all stocked up on the best fruits and veggies from local farms. Come visit us and taste the difference. Tomato, broccoli, carrot. Hashtag tabletop farms. Hashtag buy local. Hashtag fresh produce. Hashtag eating healthy. So I mean,
Which some
and
of it is not does not apply to us,
no,
like
it doesn't.
the fruits and all that, but
No, but
it
it's,
gives you like, here, just go fix it a little bit
yeah. I mean, all we have to do
and
is
make
change a
it
few
more
words out of it, and
personable.
it's
Yeah.
like, but it literally gave us 3, 15, what, 30, 40, 45.
Yeah.
I think 45 posts that we can do.
And
It's
the
crazy.
and the
And that was a
only thing in
10
the
seconds.
yeah, and the only thing in the question that would identify us is the tabletop farm. So I guess I'm doing a halfway decent job on, saying what we are out there, that it can grab some of that information and make those. I don't know where it gets the information from, or if
It
that's got to be, it's got to
Yeah.
like
It like I said, it's opened up to a
crawl
certain
everything.
amount, but it's crawling
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So data says, I just read an article about Amazon connected devices are actively hot mapping neighborhoods and tracking people. Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
No Alexa in this house.
No,
No.
no.
Now, that's not any different than our cell phones, but
Yeah, I mean, it's
she's not listening all
no,
the
but
time.
the phones are.
Well, yes, that's true. And your front camera, but
Sure.
you know, taking pictures of everything.
Hippocrates, they said, nope, at the moment, not interested. And I did IT for 15 years in international companies, getting more analog as I age. Understand.
Understand. It just kind of comes with the whole area, of being a company.
It does. And, it's one of those things. I'm one of those individuals that I've done IT and radios and stuff like that, um, radio programs. But I could also just turn the cell phone off, throw it away, and be a hermit, I guess. But
We
it's
both
fun.
could.
Yeah, we both could, but it's,
But we also like
yeah.
messing around with
Then we get,
technology too. So,
I can
I
be a
mean,
complete nerd,
yes,
complete.
yes.
So,
Well, what I did at the college was database driven. So, analytics and whatnot. And
yeah,
I, I like doing that stuff too. Kind of
yeah,
developing in HTML and creating things. So
Good evening, cul-de-sac. Good
good
evening,
evening.
Tag and B. So, Alexa meet Siri. Siri meet Alexa. Y'all talk. So,
Now, see, I was gonna get a Roomba. So does is Roomba bad? Like, does it?
oh, they're all connected. I mean, that's they can all. There was a story out, and I don't know the details, but where Roombas were recording. They have cameras on them as well,
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
yeah, and they were recording and sending them back, and they could actually get.
Well, I guess you get dimensions of the person's house and all the
Well, no,
things inside.
they have an actual video feed in them. So there was, I think there may have been even leaks of the videos from people's houses or something.
Oh,
So,
well, I guess I'm back to dirty floor with a broom all the time. I don't
but
know. Maybe you can put something over the camera.
oh yeah, like you did all the time with the laptop, put a piece of tape on the laptop camera.
Yeah, yeah. Or if we don't have this camera on, it's always shut off.
Yeah.
But
Tag says I resist smart tech in the house. I could tell you stories. Yeah, and that's where we are as well. Is we don't
yeah,
do besides the cell phone, don't really do any smart tech in the house.
no. Well,
It's tempting, but
I've got one that I need to take down
oh yeah, you do have one camera at the house.
that I have not even logged into for I don't know how long. So I really just need to shut that down. That one needs to go out to the greenhouse where it doesn't really matter. They can look at plants all day. Maybe that'll make them feel better.
If it makes them feel better looking at me, I guess that's okay. Because it doesn't bother me if they're looking at me.
But you can hear things on it though.
Okay. My sister will have a cow about Roomba. She is so anti follow me. Yeah, Roombas are right up there with Alexas, so yeah. I don't
That's
want
funny.
devices that are smarter than I am, and that's pretty low bar. I don't think so, but so what was interesting with the chat GTP, and I don't know what the program was called, and maybe that was one he was talking about, the real AI, but there's been a full moratorium on AI programs because somebody went out and built a chat GT just like it, that the whole purpose was how to destroy humanity. And it actually was starting to come back and say, well, this doesn't make any sense because humans are worthless. They just kill each other and they destroy what they live in. And it was talking about
Yeah,
nuclear codes and all kinds of stuff. And so it was kind of getting pretty wicked, it sounded like. So,
well, I mean, think about all the things that this thing can just come up with that, even just changing a word here or there. There was some of them that it threw out that it was like, "Whoa, we don't that's yeah, I understand that, but that's like ESG stuff." Like,
oh, yeah. No,
I mean,
it's,
it was very
well, there again, the, with what,
motivated to something else.
yeah, but with what we do and how we do certain things, it's very, it's very hard to guess where we would be aligned sometimes.
Well, I guess
So
that's true.
that's kind of one of those things that most people that I don't want to say most customers, but some of the places that we sell, some of the places it's not necessarily what would be normal for us to run in the circles with per se. Now,
Yeah,
there again, we don't care because we get along with just about everybody.
yeah.
So, but let's see. Cul-de-sac says I wholeheartedly agree with Hippocrates. The more AI evolves, the more I pull away from it. As a software developer, it makes me uncomfy. Also, there inescapable fact that AI will make QC redundant. Yep.
Yep.
Um, hello, would you like to play a game with Global Tumor War Games movie? Yep, absolutely. Oh, cul-de-sac says, "Oops, Parker's you're a faster typer than I am. I was not agreeing with your assessment of your intelligence." Yep.
Oh, I get it. I went up a couple. I thought I was just going up one. Gotcha. No, the other thing that came to I was flipping through YouTube while I was harvesting today, and one I haven't watched this one for quite a while. I listened to these people for quite a while, but one came across that was about um the stuff that they're wanting to put into animals. And in Missouri, there is actually, I think it's a senator, and I could totally be getting this wrong, but there is a House bill that's going through Missouri right now that is basically, if it's voted for, it's going to kill the, and they're actually working with the beef producers of Missouri. 'Cause I just talked to one of our customers' husband is pretty associated with the beef side of things, and the beef
Really?
guys are fighting hard for this to go through because they do not want it. But what the bill is going to do is anything that um, has been vaccinated.
RNMA.
Yes,
RM. Yeah, I can't even
the
say the word.
mRNA.
Thank you.
The mRNA vaccine, if they have been vaccinated, that it needs to be labeled that. It needs to have all these things that, so if this bill is not passed, then, basically it's wide open and they can do all this stuff to the animals and you have no idea. Well, if it is passed, then they have to say everything. They have to disclose all of it on their labeling, which I think would be really good. So if you are a Missouri person, or even if your state is kind of on the border of it, it sounds like Missouri is on the forefront of all this. That if we can get this thing passed, then it might help shut down anything else
Well,
that might happen.
it
But
it might help, but you have to remember that it's all federal.
right,
So
but
unless the feds do it,
however, though, that's
because
true.
it goes along the lines again of country of origin, and of course the beef industry is fought for country of origin labeling, and they cannot get it now. Maybe they've gotten it a little bit, but it was wide open. Didn't have to have country label origin.
Well, and that's also kind of the scary thing, that it, stuff is coming into the country saying that, hey, it was produced here or maybe just packaged in the United States when it comes from overseas,
That's because
and
most
they
of
have such a lower standard than what we do here.
that's because most I think the figure is something like 80 or 90% of our quote unquote organic or our grass fed beef does not get sold in America. It
Right,
gets sold overseas because we have a higher standard of organic than most places do.
right.
Now, I would disagree with that on a lot of some of the stuff in England or in the English countries, um, but you get over to some of that stuff, and we bring in grass fed beef by the shiploads because it's lower quality and we don't care, quote unquote. We don't care.
Right.
So
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys are all aware of that stuff's going on, and you're kind of in the know for
yeah,
that. But
higher standard as in organic hydroponics, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So
So we were in. There's a funny story with that. We were in a, not really a funny story, but a story. So we went into. There's some protein shakes that we like to drink, and we were out and went into the store on Saturday because they have a store down there in Kansas City, and got to talking to one of the clerks that was there, and um, just about food and eating, and grass fed, and grain, the difference between all this kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, I've done hydroponics in the past. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not soil. Like, you are still feeding your plant. That is not soil fed food, and so it was just like, people think that, not against hydroponics, I mean,
it
whatever,
again, it has its
but
place.
it does have its place, but it is not a replacement for soil-based food.
No, I would agree with that. I
Yeah,
mean, there's places where hydroponics definitely has its place in areas that don't have the availability for soil food.
yeah,
It's just not the norm.
right.
So,
Yeah,
and they want to make it the norm, just like everything else that isn't normal. They want to make normal.
yeah. So, the kids and I had
So
had a good conversation with this guy that basically is in a supplement store, with customers and, nutrition, right? So it was
Hypocrisy says,
pretty sh
I'm waiting patiently on some organic Mountain Dew." It could happen, right?
it
So
could.
no, it's funny once you start knowing some of the stories behind even little things like red dye 40
Yeah.
and what red dye 40 can do to not only adults but children and things like that. And then you start looking at all the red dyes, or not red dyes, but all the dyes in food and all the additives in food, not even mentioning the pesticides, insecticides, the fungicides, the all the other stuff that they're putting on this that aren't on the label that you have to assume that was on there.
Yeah.
And that stuff doesn't leave that plant. They claim it does, but we know it doesn't now. Some things do, obviously, but and so I mean we're not perfect. We had blueberry muffins, Jiffy. We like
We
Jiffy
like
blueberry
Jiffy Mix.
muffins, and we had some of those the other night. I was like, huh, these have red dye 40 in them. I guess I'm not gonna eat
That's
these no
out.
more. So, but you do. You have to start looking at everything you eat. And
Mhm.
there was Stacy's pita chips
Yeah.
many years
You ate
ago.
those like
I
crazy.
loved those because
They had a
I
cinnamon and sugar one,
yeah,
and
and that's
so
what
yeah,
we
it was
got
really good.
until I figured out, and they're organic, they're non-GMO,
Yeah.
they're non-GMO. They're not. I don't know if they're
They
organic or
weren't
not.
organic, but they were non-GMO.
Non-GMO.
Yeah.
Until you found out they had the highest
Mhm.
residual
The glyphosate.
glyphosate Roundup in them,
Yeah.
on any chip. I was like,
That's out.
great. The one thing I wanted and I could have, and yeah. So
Yep. So Big Kid says the further things progress, the more I only want to eat homegrown food. And that is very true.
which one was that?
The very top.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That is very true. There's some nights that it's like, man, I really don't want to cook tonight. So let's go in and get something, from the restaurant. It's like, well, where are we gonna go? And what are we gonna eat? And okay, we'll just cook.
yeah. So and cul-de-sac was out talking about she got some gelatin and for a treat. Now she's wishing she hadn't done it. So, but there again, same with that Jiffy stuff. But she says cul-de-sac also says I agree with. I never see videos of the animals except for the ones that showed the cows on the pond or by the excuse me by the pond when it was snowy. I've wondered what you feed your animals.
Oh,
So this year, all of our animals have always been cattle. Have always been grass. We've not had grain on cattle 4 or 5 years ago. They may have the custom grazers may have had a little bit of corn, but that was like 5 years ago, and
that didn't last
that didn't
very
last very long.
long.
We didn't technically do it.
He
Do
was
bring
trying to
it.
put weight on his calves, and he wanted us to went
Have a crate feeder,
have a creek
and
feeder and move it every single day.
that doesn't work with our program. So that nixed. So ever
Nope.
since then, and those all those cows are gone. Blah 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 blah. Obviously, but for 5 years now, all the cattle have been grass based. There's never been
Yep.
any grain, unless they get into somebody else's grain, but it's non-GMO.
Yeah.
So the pigs have always been a non-GMO feed. The chickens have always been a non-GMO feed, and the layers have always been non-GMO feed. Now this year, that's all changing, and the chicks are on organic feed now.
Mhm.
Um, we've not progressed to. Ideally, we'd have a soy-free, corn-free feed, and that's something we'd always like to do, but that's not practical.
Yeah.
Um, the broilers that we'll do this year, which is still up on the air, how many we do. David's now pushing for 2,500 at a time. He wants a one and done thing. We can do 1,200 at a time, and we're set up to do 1,200 at a time, but they will be organic fed, and then the pigs will be the piglets that we have are definitely going to be fed out organically, um, and that's the plan so far. So
Yeah.
everything's transitioning into organic feed, just for the pure fact of it fits our model with the um, certified naturally grown. And they're again certified naturally grown. What's interesting about them is they meet the organic standards or exceed the organic standards in the fact that they don't allow hydroponics, they don't allow any of that kind of stuff in there. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So that's something that we definitely need to. We've been lacking there again on videos. I think we've had several new subscribers, and I'm kind of surprised because I don't know that we've done a YouTube video for a while.
It's been a while, but to continue on with feed, I mean, of course they get a bunch of scraps that come out of the
Oh
garden.
yeah,
I mean, that's just a typical, anybody that has a garden with weeds or extra things, out of their kitchen or whatever, all that usually goes to the animals. Um and then we've also been doing, I don't know if it's actually truly fodder food, but like, we'll take the microgreens, the peas after they've been cut once, and we'll go ahead and let them grow again, and we'll throw those to the chickens, and then they also get, fermented raw milk, when we have that and whatnot, so they get supplemented more than just the grain that they get on pasture, so
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we could truly, if done right, and we're definitely upping our microgreens. We could take grain away from the chickens, um, and actually supplement them with sunflower seeds and everything else that we have, and they'd probably be fine in the summertime. We probably wouldn't have to feed them grain at all, in the sense of corn and all that other stuff.
true, because
But there again,
there is other activity out there.
it's kind of like everything else. Sometimes it's a convenience factor that it's an easy thing just to get a hold of the organic feed and just throw them the organic feed rather than try to build the systems because of how busy we are and the systems we're building. Um, but that's definitely something that's another system and expanding and
Yes.
improving that system, whether it be the pigs, whether it be the chickens, whether it be whatever. And for us, right now, the system that we have to focus on is
The
the
garden.
gardening and the vegetables because that is the income producing, quote unquote, income producing um, stream that we have that we've decided to
Yeah, pursue.
pursue. We've always done meats and that kind of stuff, and we'll continue. But we could drop all those today and pursue just the vegetables, and and not miss a beat, not skip a beat. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, Hippocrates says I agree with hydroponics has a place. One of the things that worries me about making it so mainstream is it's energy and input intensive, which
Mm,
is yet another gateway to control.
yeah.
You're absolutely correct. I mean that's the thing is it does have its place, but um, you're very dependent on everything. The inputs you have to have the input.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there again, we could ixnay the inputs and use animal inputs that we have on the farm. Um, I'd have to change systems, but we could definitely bring cattle into a centralized location for the wintertime, deep bed the cattle. uh, we have a local sawmill up the road. I could deep bed them on sawdust and hay, and then use all that for compost and manure, and I could not have to ever worry about input, except for some micros and things like that. But there again, if I'm at that point, uh, probably not worrying about micros.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Life Done Free says we try to eat only what we grow and what we can get from the community. It's easier said than done. You're absolutely right.
That's right.
Do it.
Oh, that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
They're hunting grass.
they are. Basically, they have access to all of that. They're not in the chickens, are they? Oh, never closed it. They still have a perimeter.
Lisa literally fed it at a hay bale before we walked. She walked in tonight, and they've turned their nose up to hay at this point and said, "We'll go find some green stuff."
We'll go walking.
Yeah,
Basically, because they've got, I don't know how many acres that is right
a lot, and
now. A
they'll go
lot.
find a little bit tonight. We need to move them. We didn't move them or this morning, so
We're dragging our feet so that the guy that's going to be helping us while we're at the race is has an easier
Yeah.
time. So
And
coordination.
literally they are chasing grass so fast that they are trying. Lots of our grass is 5-6 inches tall, but it's not solid. On our farm, it's not solid because it's being rebuilt, and so we can either move them really really fast, or we have to move them really slow because they are literally in a day. They won't they won't they won't touch the hay, and they'll
Yeah.
nub the grass down to the ground. Well, at some point they're gonna hurt that grass, so we've just chose at this point to keep them a little bit longer on this and slow them down a little bit. So
They're just mad.
they are. They're being big babies. So let's see. I gotta catch up where we were here. I had Milano cookies the other day that had brought for Easter. OMG, the label straight up said it was made with GMO food. Did I see the? Did I see that before eating the bag? Nope. Yeah, I stop by Casey's every now and then, and that's one thing with Casey's. I'm not sure. I know Casey's is a regional thing, a gas station, um, but on the Casey's brand, they on every Casey's brand, if it has genetically modified foods on it, it's labeled.
Really?
Yeah, which I appreciate that. So I don't eat it, but waiting for concrete at the end of the week. Starla said I just did 125 feet of white lattice trellis. Already have 300 of deer netting trellis. Have chicken wire trellis and cow panels. Any more ideas? Okay, she's probably asking Tag and B. All the old timers swore on feeding livestock cob corn, oats, and barley. Yep.
Yep.
And if I could find, I say this, if I could find some more ground that was of a decent deal, which is not easy to find around here, I would start probably looking at doing sunflowers for the chickens and actually planting more sunflowers. Um, Cows, I'm never worried about. Pigs, they'll eat anything, but I do do a fall. We did not get it done last year, which is kind of why the cows are chasing grass on ours since we're rebuilding the pastures um, because it was row crop. Uh, we mix in grass, but I generally will put in oats and winter wheat or triticale or something like that, so that in the spring
There's a
everything
big
fills in,
flush. Yeah.
and then we're following it with the pigs. Particularly, the pigs will literally just consume. If it's good green stuff, that's all they'll consume. I mean,
Mhm.
their feed will drop dramatically
Yeah.
once everything starts going. But they're not big on fescue, so they
They're
like.
huge grazers though.
Oh yeah.
Huge
Oh, and they'll
grazers.
graze fescue too, but
Yeah.
they'd much rather have oats and things like barley and things like that that are actually actively growing. So seed heads.
Yeah.
Cul-de-sac says, "Good to hear about your chickens. I finished that dozen I got from you just today.
Wow.
I'm allergic to eggs, so don't eat them very often. But I did an all organic fried rice with them today. It was really good.
Good.
For those who might be interested, no market garden scale, but some non-animal based gardening. Check out Will Bonzel's Essential Guide to Radical Self-Reliant Gardening.
Okay.
Even the smaller base gardening stuff, it has implementation in larger gardening stuff. I found it's just scaling. Cul-de-sacs, I realize building the closed loop system must be very difficult. Very difficult. In fact, I would almost say it's impossible on most places. Um, Completely closed loop.
Is it impossible or possible?
Impossible.
Why?
Well, to have a truly closed loop system, everything you consume input, you must output somewhere on your farm.
Okay. Yeah. Because you bringing inputs in from the outside
It's
is
not a closed
not a
loop,
closed loop.
and that's what I say. It's not. I say it's impossible on most applications.
Yeah.
Not
Because
completely
we're
impossible.
consumers and not producers.
Well, I would say that we're producers, not consumers.
Well, but we consume the stuff we consume we consume it.
But yes, I understand what you're saying, but we're still producers over consumers. Most are not producers over consumers, and that's what I'm saying. It's mostly impossible.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It'd
still
be
very
hard.
difficult for us to do.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
I'm not saying. So,
yeah.
why don't more people use limestone dust for micronutrients? Good question. Don't know why. Um, we
We did
use
last year.
yeah. Oh yeah. Um, limestone dust. One of the things with limestone is it's going to raise pH. Um, so that's the one thing. If you don't want to raise pH, gypsum. Um, gypsum will, but it's not supposed to. And if it does, it's very, very, very minimal. So, um, so if you're low on pH, I like a 6.5 on vegetable stuff, depending. Um, but that's why we don't use limestone dust at this point, unless obviously I'm low on pH. But my soil samples will tell me that. uh, Starla Hippocrates, my hydroponic system is almost up and running, and I am filming. If I get someone to help me edit, I will post on YouTube. That's great. I'll be interested to see that.
My dad likes hydroponics. He grew up. He had a pet store, a fish pet store, whenever he was young, and he really enjoys taking care of and breeding fish. So that's something that he's always like, "Hey, why don't we take a high tunnel and down the middle we put in a fish pond?"
Which I'm not opposed to, and I've actually had some ideas with that for thermal um, thermal mass with the pond and putting in like a 6 foot deep pond and bringing thermal up with that and doing that down the yeah.
Yeah,
I've thought about it, and it's not out of the question because I'm also looking at bringing it off of a pond we're going to build to get the water source off the pond and circulate it with hydroelectric off of the pond and do a bunch of stuff. So
I just tell him that I grow algae. I don't know how to manage water, so it's all him.
hold a second, as big kid, I was just wondering that tonight. Put in order for amendments tonight. It's taking a ton of soil to fill grow bag. Kind of regretting deciding to grow bag for potatoes.
Oh, that'll be so much easier for harvesting now instead of digging up dirt.
Using fish growing tank for nutrients. Sunflowers grow well in with corn. Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. Aqua.
Yeah. So aquaponics with fish and veg would be aquaponics, correct?
That's true.
Water based nutrient, but still marbles as a material grows. Yeah.
Weeks and
Yeah.
things. Cool.
I've been trying to buy hay to feed my cows for the last 5 years. I now have 3 acre patch that has one heck of a lot more and better nutrients on it than buying crap to add to it. Yep.
Yep. Actually, I'm really surprised. So this year we're on our fourth, fifth year with the cows going around everything. We started with 80. No, we started with 100, went down to an 80 for winter, and then this past year, last year, summer, we went up to 120 and took everybody through the winter on the stockpile
Hmm.
that we would not have been able to do the first year that we were grazing. I mean, that I
Yeah.
think is
And we're up to 100,
130
now. I would say that,
on the same amount of acreage. So
in,
just the few years of
yeah, I would say in the next
rotational
2 years,
grazing.
I might be pushing 200 head in probably about 2 years. Now that's not very much stockpile. If I was to keep it at about 150, I would have probably enough stockpile that I could get through January, never feed hay.
Yeah.
Within next 2 years, I'd say. So, let's see, catching up. I don't. And the other thing with nutrients is, um, we get it. You can use Kansas salt, Redmond salt. It's that old oceanic salt. A lot of people overlook the nutrients within that salt. You can actually apply. I think it's a 5 pounds of the acre.
Oh, I
Or
thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 200.
oh yeah, no, yeah, that's true. It depends on how you apply it. But dry, I think you can do 200 pounds to the acre. Uh, Redmond salt and Kansas salt would probably be the same application. I don't think they tell you that, but Redmond salt you can. And I've heard of guys tripling their hay production from just adding salt.
Yeah.
Um, but it
Which we were gonna try last year, but we didn't get to that
well
either.
again I was gonna try that this year, so
Yeah.
uh,
And they'll give you those stories too if you talk to the Redmond people.
oh yeah, of
They
course
have
they're salesmen, but
well, yes, but I mean like they can guide you as to
this was
what.
not from the Redmond salesman that told
No.
us this.
No,
Actually,
it wasn't.
this was from actually a
Yeah.
producer that tried it, and
I think
I
he was seeing how much he
I
could
can't
actually put
remember.
on.
I think he got 50 bales on 3 acres or something like
It
that out
was
of one cutting.
it was crazy.
It was something nuts. So, Antioch Urban Growers did that with a fish tank and a greenhouse, and he actually lived in there for a while. He had a rocket here too. He's north. Yep, North Kansas City. Because as I have 4, I can't even imagine having 20, much less 100. I'm not sure what he's.
Cows.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. 100 and well, right now we have 130 moms, but what do you think? 60, 70 calves out there? There's a lot of white calves out there.
I know. They look more than what you think though.
Yeah, I bet there's more than what you think.
If
There are.
I have half, I would be surprised. But I did have a good dozen of them drop this
So, but yeah,
which I expected, but I don't
we're
expect
looking.
anymore.
We're not. We don't have 300 heads sitting out there right now, but we're not.
Close to 200.
Oh, I bet you we're over 200.
Yeah.
You're over 200. I bet you. So, how many acres are they on? They are on right now. They have access to more than they actually should, but we rotate, generally speaking, daily
5 to 7 acres.
5 to 7 acres right now. As once they get back onto perennial pasture, um, 5 acres will. Oh, We can move them through 3 acres twice a day.
So 6 acres, 6 to 7
Six,
acres.
yeah,
a
6,
day.
7 acres. Still 6 or 7 acres. But we're only doing that because we're trying to keep up with it. Because
Yes.
that once it goes, and we generally lose track.
Springtime is crazy.
It
I
is.
mean, like you almost need to.
We could put 50 more head on.
Yeah.
We could do 200 head and babies
Yes.
in the spring.
And then
and spring I mean about May 1st.
yeah, and then take
So.
them off come the end of June,
Yes.
July, because then
Yeah.
we should be stockpiling for winter.
Well,
So-
August is when we start stockpiling. Right?
Yes, but you can start taking them off,
Yeah.
which I would think he'd be bringing the bulls on before too long.
Should.
Should.
Yes, that will do wonders for the ground in the long run. Absolutely, we've seen dramatic differences in 4 years.
Yeah.
So between the hay and the cattle and the nutrients and all that, so
Yeah. In some of our ground this winter, we kept them on a little bit longer and rolled more hay out, and just so that we can get some of those nutrients and organic matter down onto the pasture in some of our bad areas. And this spring, so far, I mean, it's looking pretty good. It was kind of nasty and um, very dramatic whenever we left it
oh yeah.
over the winter, but
Yeah.
it's coming back really
But there
nicely.
again, the more impact you're doing to the land, the more rest time it needs. And as
Yeah.
long as that's
Balanced out.
balancing out, then it's the dividends will pay for themselves. So, cul-de-sac says, well, it's supposed to be a wet winter, a wet spring, so you hopefully have lots of good pasture for them.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
So far, we have not. We were actually getting fairly dry, and even the rain that they're forecasting for the next 2 days, I think, is like half an inch,
That'd be great.
which is perfect. I mean, we had a storm blow through yesterday, or the day before, yesterday. It was the day before yesterday, or was it
Saturday
yesterday?
night.
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yeah, you're right. And I thought we got quite a bit of rain. It deluged down and poured, but I think it's mostly wind apparently because we're working in the gardens like it never happened. So I started with scrub timberland, cleared it, and put pigs, cows, goats, chickens on it, and fed them, and brought hay to build the soil. Yep, and there again, we've not hayed ground. We bring in all of the hay just for the nutrients.
Yeah.
And a lot of our ground that they're on right now was actually agged. Some of that ground for 30 plus years. So, and it's actually looking as good as some of the pastures that we've had. So, yeah, weather's supposed to be a little bumpy on Wednesday.
Yep, I had seen that. That was one of my YouTube scroll throughs. He had us in the nice red section of the stuff that's coming in. I'm like, oh, that's not cool. But
So,
heck, we've been having 40-mile-an-hour winds, so I don't know that it really matters.
everything's still in place for now.
Like we're in Kansas, Toto.
Yeah. All right. Well, getting to 8:30, and you have 100 pounds of dishes to wash yet tonight. So
I do.
we do, I guess. I'd rather not, but I'll help.
I've got 30 minutes before bedtime, so
Yeah. Good luck with that. So I think we are going to jump off of here. I also have a bunch of it to drain or perk now by growing daikon radish. Oh yeah, yep, that'll help
yeah, it will.
big time. And I still am a big believer in cover crops, no matter even if you have pasture, because each pasture has something different. So there's lots of cover crops out there that you can get on, and I've actually taken cattle through a pasture just to beat it down some more, so I can get that cover crop on there to establish for that short period of time in that. So
Well, and we've had seed that has gone through, and we seed it down 1 year, and we might not see it for 2 years.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it really is an investment, but it does very well.
Cul-de-sac's gonna go up pot some unhappy tomatoes.
Understand
We've got
that.
some of the unhappy peppers that I
Yeah.
want to get out, but when it's gonna be 30, I guess we're not gonna put them out yet. So, all right, we are going to jump off here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.
It's been great. We like talking with you guys and
Absolutely.
sharing stories.
So until next time,
Pull up a chair.
and welcome to Tabletop Farm. Good night.
Have a good night.